I started my career in hydrology with studies down in the Kissimmee Basin of the Everglades. So I'm very familiar with marshland hydrology and all of that. And because I knew all about the Coastal Prairie, I'd read about it. I was most anxious to see if there was some work out there, some research that we could get involved with. These natural prairies provide an enormous opportunity in two arenas. One, to gather water and allow that water to infiltrate into the subsurface. Much better than almost any other surface. These prairies, the grasslands, the root systems go down and they encourage that infiltration to occur. And more importantly, they also provide a rough surface for runoff to come across. And because of that, let's say compared to concrete or compared to roads or parking lots, the runoff is slowed greatly by that roughness coefficient. So it's those two mechanisms that make preservation of prairies so important, especially in flood-prone cities like Houston.
I've been around a long time and I've lived in a lot of places and a lot of beautiful homes. And one of the things that I have come to experience firsthand is that, you lived in a place and you go back 10 years later and that place is gone. And what we all know about undeveloped wild land is that it's rare and becoming rarer. And so I knew when I bought the property that the only way to protect it was to do a conservation easement. The opportunity to acquire something that was wild and to ensure that it stays wild so that it can support the diversity of wildlife species that it currently does. And as I said before, you cannot take that for granted. It won't happen by happenstance. You have to affirmatively take action, and the best way to do that is through a conservation easement. So that is my legacy.
If somebody was interested in volunteering at Coastal Prairie and they didn't feel that, how they were going to fit in, they weren't really sure if they would know enough or physical abilities maybe, we have several different kinds of things for people to do besides working here in the nursery and seeding and transplanting. They can sometimes just water things. They can dig plants up that are invasive species.
So what I enjoy the most about growing native plants is that I get to see the natural wildlife come and visit the plants, and it's just an amazing way to connect with nature, and I get to grow a lot of seeds for plants that I've never heard of before, so it's really helped broaden my horizons about native plants. So what I find most beautiful about growing native plants and working on the prairie is I get to experience all of the beautiful wildlife that visit the prairie and make their homes.
I am hopeful. The pace of Houston's growth is something that none of us could have foretold when I first moved here in the 70s. I had no idea that 20 years later a city the size of San Antonio would move to the west side of Houston, and it continues. And so we have got to take that extreme growth into account. And the one way to help exacerbate these impacts is with the use of extreme green infrastructure.
I think that we are fortunate that there are organizations like the Coastal Prairie Conservancy and Mary Ann who make it their mission to preserve wild places. Again, we can't take them for granted. It's going to take affirmative action on the part of anyone who has the opportunity to protect them. And I am really appreciative of the work that they have done and that they are continuing to do.